Hey everyone, I'm Craig Gordon, Vice President of Prevail, and I'm joined by our President, Andrew Stafford.
Good to be here.
Andrew, there are so many things right now going on in the world. A lot of news, stories. I think people are having a feeling of uncertainty here. Where are you kind of seeing as we look now currently in the conflict in the Middle East? And I know we've talked a lot about that. What are the conversations that we're having internally, the Investment Advisor Committee, and what are some of the things that we're doing to put people at ease and how we're managing that news?
Yeah, I think it's always hard to understand the impact of whatever the geopolitical environment may be. But really what we're talking about is uncertainty.
That's right.
And the markets don't like uncertainty. And what I think is unique about our Investment Advisory Committee and how we manage money is our nimbleness and our ability to transition sector as needed where we feel there's upside opportunity, but also to pull risk off the table.
Yeah.
And as we look at this current environment, it's interesting because the markets really didn't have the reaction that we thought that they potentially could have over this current geopolitical conflict. More importantly, I think is as you think of oil and Iran. Traditionally, if there would have been a conflict in the Middle East, traditionally we would have seen a big run up in oil.
We would have.
And so I think you have to also go back and look at the couple weeks prior to the conflict starting that you had OPEC say, hey, we're gonna raise output, oil output. Saudi Arabia started that, I think that trend, which helped the markets. I don't know how much coordination is or isn't in that happening, but I definitely think that helped from oil having a big spike. Yeah. In addition to that, I think as you look at the markets as a whole, what's interesting, as you mentioned, uncertainty, is how people are feeling right now isn't necessarily correlating with what is actually happening in the markets and the data that's coming out of the markets and the reporting. So as you look at whether it be earnings from publicly traded companies, you look at the unemployment and where unemployment continues to stay very low. You look at real wage growth, which we've been getting those reports. Inflation held in check.
There's a lot of strong fundamentals. There
is strong fundamentals. That being said, I think that the summer months are typically always volatile, right? And so as we look to the next couple of months from an investment advisory committee standpoint, we're cautious. And I think caution is important. We're bouncing up all-time highs on some of the indices. Tech has had a huge rebound. The interesting thing is, as you look back at any bull market over the last several years, tech has led that. Right. And tech fell way out of favor in the first quarter, got crushed, and tech led this market back. So where I think we're very unique in what we do is that ability to be nimble, to move from sector to sector, to find some sectors that are maybe out of favor, which I do think energy is one of them, could have a really good rebound as we look at the second half of the year. And there's other sectors like that where we can transition our investment thesis to really get some good positive gains.
I totally agree. And I think the other thing is that the importance of being opportunistic and being in a position to be nimble. In other words, how are you raising cash? How are you managing cash inside the portfolios? Because the markets are so volatile, the news headlines can kind of move, to your point, variety of different areas where maybe we need to have some more focus on sectors, but you got to be in a position to do that and not sell something else to get into another asset. And I think our team has done a really good job of having enough liquidity to manage the volatility and more so be opportunistic in that movement.
And I think what's unique is we, with the Investment Advisory Committee, a group of 10 people sitting down and meeting every single week, reviewing all of the portfolios, all of the strategies, forward looking as to where do we think there's opportunity, and then making real-time changes. I think that's what's unique about Prevail.
Agreed.